If the emergency shutdown doesn't work and the fire team literally cannot stop the blaze, well, there's exactly one layer of defense left. In this explainer, we're diving into life-saving appliances, the survival craft, the personal gear, and the drills that make up the absolute worst-case scenario playbook for an FPSO. Let's get into it.
So what actually happens when the fire systems completely fail? It's a terrifying thought, right? But if the gas alarms are screaming and the primary defenses are overwhelmed, we've got to rely on the ultimate backup plan.
We're talking about the absolute last line of defense, life-saving appliances, or LSA. We're going to break down the lifeboats, the life rafts, and the immersion suits that literally stand between a crew and total disaster. We'll look at the engineering that makes them work, and why relentless practice is just non-negotiable.
Here's our map of the escape route for today. First, primary survival craft. Second, life rafts and secondary options. Third, personal survival gear. And finally, readiness, training, and drills.
Section 1. Primary survival craft, the ultimate escape vehicle.
All right, let's talk about the heavyweight champion of escape vehicles, the TEMPSC. That stands for Totally Enclosed Motor-Propelled Survival Craft. Now picture this. You've got a massive hydrocarbon release, and the sea surface itself is literally on fire. This sealed, rigid boat is engineered to drive directly through burning oil. It gives the crew 8 to 10 minutes of completely protected passage right through the flames. When you see it resting securely in its davit launch position, you're looking at a hull made from heavy-duty, fire-retardant GRP or steel. It's built to take a serious beating from extreme heat and brutal wave impacts. Plus, it has an external water sprinkler system to cool the canopy. And, get this, its own self-contained compressed air supply. So the engine keeps running and you keep breathing normally, even when sailing through toxic smoke. Now here's where the math of survival gets really interesting. SOLAS regulations mandate a total minimum survival craft capacity of 200% of the persons on board. Not 100%, 200. So why double the capacity? Well, it's all about strict redundancy. You need 100% capacity on the port side, plus another 100% on the starboard side. Think about it. If a massive fire or a severe list from flooding makes one whole side of the ship totally inaccessible, every single person can still evacuate safely on the other side. Nobody gets left behind.
Of course, you actually have to get that incredibly heavy, fully loaded boat into the water. That's where massive heavy-duty lifeboat release hooks and maintenance strops come in. They have to function flawlessly under immense stress, safely lowering the boat at a controlled speed, usually about 0.4 to 1 meter per second, using absolutely zero power from the ship. It relies entirely on gravity or stored energy.
Section 2. Life rafts and secondary options, the backup plan. Because, let's face it, davit-launched lifeboats aren't the only way off.
Back at the stern, you'll often find free-fall lifeboats. These are wild. They offer a rapid, steep plunge directly off of a ramp and straight into the water. The genius here is that they totally bypass the need for mechanical davit cranes. Cranes that could easily get jammed or melted in a severe platform fire. Now, if you can't reach the main lifeboats in time, life rafts offer another 200% of overflow capacity. And once you're out there on the water, secondary systems kick in to ensure you actually get rescued. You've got VHF radios to talk to helicopters, SART radar transponders that ping your exact location to rescue ships, and parachute rocket flares. These flares shoot 300 meters into the night sky, burn for 40 seconds, and on a clear night, you can see them from 30 to 40 kilometers away.
Section 3. Personal survival gear, your individual armor. Let's zoom in from the massive boats down to the gear tasked with keeping your own body alive against the elements.
This comparison is pretty stark, and it shows exactly why this gear is completely non-negotiable. Say you're in the North Sea. The water's a bitter 5 to 10 degrees Celsius. Without an immersion suit, you're unconscious from hypothermia in 30 minutes, tops. But with a properly fitted self-inflating life jacket and a thermal immersion suit, your survival time jumps to several hours. It's literally the difference between likely death and probable survival. You're also increasingly required to keep a personal grab bag right in your cabin. Inside, you'll find absolute lifesavers, a whistle, a personal locator beacon, heat-proof gloves, and a Draeger Para smoke hood.
Now why the smoke hood? Because when things go completely wrong, escape routes inside the FPSO might fill with thick, toxic smoke way before you ever make it outside. This hood buys you 10 to 15 minutes of clean breathing time. That's the vital, critical window you need to navigate the corridors and actually reach your muster station. Which brings us to Section 4, Readiness, Training, and Drills, the human element. because all this cutting-edge engineering, it's totally useless if the crew freezes up in the absolute chaos of an emergency.
We don't just talk about this stuff, we practice survival. The mandatory monthly abandoned ship drill is a high-speed, full-scale rehearsal. Everyone musters, a head count is strictly recorded to find any missing persons, specialized lifeboat crews take their stations, and they actually lower a boat to the embarkation level and man it. It builds that crucial muscle memory without actually abandoning the ship.
And we don't just let the boats gather rust either. Every single week, rigorous checks are done. They run the Tempest engines right there in their stowed positions, they test the emergency lighting, and thoroughly check the painter line releases. They need to know with absolute certainty that it'll work the second it's called upon.
So, let's look at the key takeaways for Module 11. It's a brilliantly layered defense. We've got massive redundant capacities with a 200% lifeboat requirement, specialized free-fall lifeboats to bypass vulnerable cranes, immersion suits to stretch your survival time from 30 minutes to several hours, smoke hoods for 10 to 15 minutes of crucial escape time, and of course those mandatory monthly abandoned ship drills to keep everyone sharp. And that wraps up Module 11. But remember, once you evacuate and hit the water, you are not out there alone. Next up, Module 12 covers the standby vessel, the dedicated ship that watches over the FPSO 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Make sure to subscribe so we can finish the course together.
Which leaves us with one final sobering question. The engineers have done their part. The equipment is ready. The drills are done. The ship is prepared. But if that alarm sounds tonight, are you ready to survive? Think about it, and I'll see you in the next explainer.